let's have a look at exponential function. And when we are dealing with exponential function, we're definitely going to deal with logs. Okay, so good for fifth year as well, students that are doing algebra and logs. A company produces firewood. To make the firewood, the company cuts the wood and then leaves it in a warehouse to dry out. Now, when you are solving a big question 7, 8, 9, 10, they are big question, they are question with a story. You have to as well kind of pause and understand story in the context of life. So we get that. When you cut a tree, right, you have the wood, but before you can use it for firewood, it has to dry because naturally wood have what? Water is moist. So that water have to dry out so that it will be good firewood. The water content of the wood is the percentage of the firewood that is actually water. So always when they put any word in bold, pay attention to it. So VT is percentage. That is percentage. So when we are talking about this function, that's my y, and in this case, that's percentage. Okay, let's see what they're going to say about the x. So the following equation describes the water content of the wood while it is drying out, where t is time in weeks. Okay, so this where I have x, that's the number of weeks that I'm going to put. So that's where that number of weeks is going to go. So in question with function, they may ask you about the value of y, therefore they have given you value of x. Now they're not going to say what is y when x is, they will say what is percentage when number of weeks is. Or the other way around, they will say what is the number of weeks when percentage is, I don't know, 20. Yeah, so doesn't matter the story. The point is, always remember x and y. Which one are we looking for? Use WT to answer part A to E. Okay, work out the water content. So water content of the wood, that means percentage. Therefore, we are looking for y. That means they have told us about x at the start of the drying process, and so that's 1, and 8 weeks after, that's 2. And here we have. Now, in your question, when you have time in any shape or form involved, always be aware of time 0. Now, they're not going to say when time is 0. Sometimes they will tell you. Majority of the times they won't. You have to understand in the context of the question what that time 0 is. At the start, at the beginning, initially, right? So those words, or like here, if I cut the wood and I just put it to dry, so I just place it in the warehouse, there is no number of weeks that has gone. The time will be 0. Yeah? So that's what I'm saying. We have to be aware. Okay. So at the start of the drying process. So that means that's when no number of weeks. So my x is 0. In this case, t is 0. So we just replace t with 0. So 5 plus 20 multiplied by e to the power of minus 0.079 multiplied by 0. We put that in the calculator, press equal, and we get 25. That's 25%. That's what we are getting. After 8 weeks, this time we replace our t with 8. So again, 5 plus 20 multiplied by e to the power of minus 0.079 multiplied by 8. And again, in our calculator, and we get 16, and that is 16%. Pretty simple, straightforward. Let's have a look at the next part. The company will sell the wood once the water content is 10% or less. So what are they talking here about? The y value, isn't it? So they must be asking us about x, and that means number of weeks. Work out the least number of days. So here they are highlighting again word days. So let's not forget X in this case will give me number of weeks, and I will have to change that to number of days. Okay, that the wood must dry out to ensure that the water content will be below 10%. So content is 10 or less. Okay, so in place of Y, we are putting 10 to find that point when it happened, and then the rest of the equation, so 5 plus 20 multiplied by e to the power of 0.079 multiplied by t. Now, you may ask me or wonder, why didn't I make that less or equal? Now, we are looking for t, isn't it? And t is here. And what is that power? That e is taken to this power. When I'm looking for power in maths, what do I use? Log, isn't it? Log means I'm looking for power. When it comes to inequalities and logs, there is quite kind of a lot of rule involves, and taking into consideration that there is so many stuff you have to remember, there is no need to remember additional things. If you do equal sign, you don't have to apply all those different rules. All you have to do, solve it, and you know that at that value of t, that will be the point when exactly it's hitting 10%. Okay, and then we can adjust our answer to whichever way we need. Okay, so when I'm looking for power, what do we use? We understand that when I'm looking for power, I'm going to use log, I'm going to put my base here, I'm going to put my product, and then on the other side, I'm going to have my power. But in order to apply that, my equation have to look like this. Has to have a base with power and product on the other side. Now, I do have the power. That's my base. That's the number that is taken to this power. The problem is I have these additional numbers here. Can't have them. In order for me to apply log, has to be just base, just with power. That's it. So we have to eliminate 5 and 20. First, we take 5 to the other side, therefore change the sign. And then we are left with 20 multiplied by e to our power. So to eliminate multiplication, eliminate 20, we divide, and we divide both sides of the equation, because 20 divided by 20, that's 1. So therefore, I am left only with e here. So that is my base. That is my power. And that means that's my product. So now I can apply the log. So now we are saying log with the base. What's my base? E. With the product, what's my product? Whatever that number is, equal what my power, and that's my power, minus 0.079 multiplied by t. Now I want t, not t multiplied by a number, so what do we do? How do we eliminate multiplication? By dividing, and dividing both sides of the equation. So that goes, we have t and we have that number. Then we take that number and we put that in the calculator, and we get that is 17.54. That is the value of t. So exactly at 17.54 weeks, the content of water is 10%. So first of all, I need days, isn't it? Because the answer said at what days. So how do we change 1754 weeks to days? Well, every week have 7 days. So we multiply that by 7. And we put that in the calculator. And we get 122.78. So at full day, 123 days, we're going to be below 10%, isn't it? Because at that point, exactly we're going to hit 10, because that was our calculation, and anything more than that, we're going to be going below. How do I know that it's the next day? Well, because the water is drying, isn't it? The longer the wood lies down in the warehouse, the less water it has, isn't it? That's just the fact of life. So I know that if at 122.78 is 10%, If I go a little bit longer, I'm going to have below 10. But if you are not sure, if you don't know, if you are not sure what you can do, you can go 122 and 123, put that back into my equation here in place of t, and see which of them will give you less than 10%. That's how you will know. Yeah, you can always check it out.